Chapter 1 Listener's Point of View. A sudden chill ran up my arms as the wind harshly blew by, not helping my already trembling body. We were all standing on top of the wall, watching the titans desperately throw themselves towards us, trying so hard to get us into their mouths. A shaky breath escaped my lips. Another night fighting these dummies, huh? The beautiful golden sunset could stop almost anyone right in their tracks. A gorgeous royal gold fading towards a pink orange, purple, then slowly a darker and darker blue. Granted, the view was breathtaking. The other view was better. Standing next to me was Mikasa Ackerman, hands down one of the best titan fighters I know, the shorter pieces of hair covering some of her facial features, her confident stance. It was all so mesmerizing. I let out a sigh as I sat on a ledge of the wall, admiring the sunset while trying to ignore the blood-hungry beasts. Not too long after, I felt a presence behind me. Before I could turn around, they put their hands on my shoulders, almost as if leaning on me. They even sighed a bit, in boredom. Mikasa? You ready? She rubbed my shoulder a bit. It felt nice, like she was reassuring me. It was comforting too, warm. I have to be, or else I'll get myself killed. Well, obviously. So let me ask you again. Are you ready? She took her hands off me and sat next to me, closely. Her eyes darted to the front of us, what was below us, above us, and gave one last sigh. Yes. Good. I nudged at her shoulder and laughed a bit. Of course she was prepared. Me too. A calm, collective vibe was coming from the girl next to me, making my nerves more at ease. I never understood how someone like her could have such a power over me. Something as simple as her presence relaxes me. I quickly shake out my thoughts as we were preparing to charge. The atmosphere shifted to a more chilly breeze, the sky slowly getting more and more dark. Let's do this. We all ran towards the exit of the gate, getting on our horses and preparing for war. The horse in front of me belonged to none other than her. Hey, Mikasa, I whisper. She turned her head around, giving me a look that said I should proceed with my comment. If I need backup, I'm counting on you. She gave a humorous breath before playfully rolling her eyes and turning her attention towards the front again. I got you, listener. That soft voice melted onto me. I got you, listener. Let's go! A voice shouts before each horse took off. The movements of our gear could be heard throughout the hurdle of people. We separate as planned, starting to get ready to fly across the high trees. As the titan got closer and closer to us, I jumped off my horse, flying gracefully through the air until I landed on the giant's shoulder, jumping again to take its nape, and soon after, its life. In the corner of my eye, I spot another flying figure, a comrade. I didn't even have to look and see who it was for me to know. That titan was clearly mine, they shout in between breaths. I'll get the next one, though, she says soon after, letting her gear take her away. Better catch them before I do, then. It's the last thing I shout before flying towards the titans that were starting to slowly surround us. After many, many frightening sightings later, we all retreat back to the walls. Granted, we lost a lot of people today. I didn't let that get to me since I knew they didn't die in vain. Each kill counts. Each life taken was a strong sacrifice each of us are willing to take. We had to stay strong in order to work in this field. We all knew that. The slightly younger ones, including me, started making our way towards the cafeteria. It was a long, grieving day, to say the least. I quickly get my food and sit at an empty table, soon to be filled with one extra person in front of me. She didn't speak, didn't even look at me. But a subtle gesture of sitting with me was everything I needed for a smile to creep up on my face. The girl looked up from her food, spotting my expression. "Are you that happy because of your food?" she sarcastically asked. "Very funny, Mikasa. No, I'm happy because you're here." What's that supposed to mean? My eyes grew wide as I realized what I just said. Damn it, I didn't mean to actually tell her that. I'm just glad that you didn't get eaten by a titan or something. I mentally hit myself over the head, focusing my attention back on my food, trying desperately to hide my face out of embarrassment. I heard a soft chuckle. I'm glad you're here too, listener. I could get lost in her quiet but confident voice. She never fails at making me smile. I'm not sure if she will ever feel how I feel for her, but if friendship is the closest thing I'll ever be with her, then so be it. The atmosphere between us was filled with comfortable silence as we finished our food, occasionally looking up just to get a glimpse of her face once again. So pretty. The dinner wasn't so filling, but good enough for me. Everyone soon started evacuating the cafeteria, walking to their rooms. Mikasa was still sitting in front of me, but she ate all her food. But once I was finished and started walking out, I realized I was being followed by a slightly taller girl. "Aw, how sweet of you to wait for me," I teasingly say, throwing a wink behind me. She looks away from me, catching up to my side. I didn't feel like walking alone, so we walked through the dark night, owls and crickets setting the mood along with the subtle breeze. While walking, a slight brush of something, or rather, someone, was felt on the back of my hand. I didn't think much of it, but the butterflies in my stomach said otherwise. Getting closer to my room, I waved goodbye to my friend and walked away. Laying in my bed now, I couldn't help but still feel her touch on my hand. Such a soft brush, yet such a large impact. It felt nice. As if for the 100th time today, a smile regarding Mikasa grew on my lips. The smile comes to a halt once I realize that me and her will most likely never happen. Friends is the closest thing we'll ever be. I heavily sigh, then shut my eyes, slowly drifting off to a deep sleep. Chapter 2. I awake to the feeling of the cold, my body shivering badly, my teeth clacking together annoyingly. What the... I sit up and realize I'm sitting in the middle of nowhere. Nothing but piles and piles of thick white snow filling my line of vision. No trees, no house, nothing. Then, a sudden loud thud echoed in my ears, causing me to hold my hands over them. But a thud made a mini earthquake occur beneath me. It got louder and louder, closer and closer. I tried desperately to stand up and yell for help, but my throat was dry, and I kept getting sucked back into the heavy snow, as if it was pulling me down by force. After a while of struggling, I eventually gave up, not caring anymore. But as soon as I stopped, the white soon disappeared, melting almost instantly. The coldness that took over my body was no longer there. In fact, I felt warm almost immediately. I tried to stand again, and thankfully, I succeeded. But something was holding me back from walking. I looked down and saw something wrapped around my ankle. A hand? Tears started filling my eyes. My breath hitched when I realized what was holding me back, what I was standing on. It wasn't gravel that the snow was covering. It was people. Stacks of people who were barely moving. Blood analyzed across the platform. But the hand holding me back, the body I was standing on was... Dad? At that, I immediately opened my eyes, sitting upright on my bed. I didn't even realize the tears dripping down my face as I carried my hand over my mouth, trying to stop the heavy gasping. Sweat dripped down my forehead, the uneasy feeling in my stomach only worsening. I bring my hands to my face, sobbing tightly into them. Not long after, I picked my head up and looked out the small window next to my bed. I realized it was most likely about 5 a.m., the sun just barely peeking over the horizon, the sky still showing a dark, dewy night. Almost unconsciously, I shuffled out of the bed sheets and grabbed the sweater that was resting on a chair, quickly walking outside. Not knowing what to do, I paced back and forth, checking the ground occasionally to make sure it wasn't made of dead people. What kind of person has a dream like that? I asked myself. That wasn't normal. An idea popped in my head and I don't think twice about it. Jogging towards a certain door, I knock on it a bit loudly to hopefully wake them up. Surprisingly, not long after, the door slowly opened, revealing a very tired Mikasa. Listener, what time is... I cut her off with a hug. I didn't know what else to do. I've never experienced a nightmare like that. I dig my face into her chest, making a fist out of her shirt. She closes the door and doesn't hesitate to hug me back. Realizing my breathing wasn't normal, she started petting my head, her other hand tightly around my back. Listener, I need you to follow my breathing, okay? I nod, still holding tightly onto her. I do as told and listen to her heartbeat, following her inhales and exhales. Her body temperature felt warm, her heartbeat soon taking over my ears. Her hand soon is taken off my back and placed onto my hair. How many times do I have to fix your hair for you? She almost whispers, gently giving me a very soothing scalp massage. I carefully unclench her shirt, melting into the light touch. You want to tell me what happened? She whispers again, this time quieter and closer to my ear. I cautiously unwrap my arms from her. Sad, her embrace left my still trembling body. I had a nightmare and didn't know what else to do. A humorous breath was heard from the girl standing rather close in front of me. I dropped my head, but she picked it up by my chin with her finger. Do you want to talk about it? I smile at her and nod my head, Mikasa leading the way to her bed. We sat on her bed while I told her about the strange dream. Weirdly, she didn't cringe or laugh at it. It's rather, she understood how I felt. She understood me. I met Mikasa during training a couple years ago. She looked more of the antisocial type, but we clicked almost instantly. It was as if we've already known each other from years before. During that time, I wasn't in the best place mentally. My heart felt as if it shattered into a million pieces because of what the Titans did to my family. The horrifying thoughts circled my mind endlessly, almost daily. It was killing me. But I was lucky enough to find someone like the girl sitting in front of me. And from that day on, I've somewhat developed feelings as our relationship prospered. But never will I risk our friendship being ruined over some pesky crush. She's way too important to me. She can't get rid of me. I'll always be by her side, there for her, dating or not. Thank you, Mikasa. Really, I don't know what I would have done without you, I say as I lean in to give her yet another hug. I'll always be here for you, listener. I wake up to the bright beaming sun shining in my face, seeping into the room through the curtains. While shifting around in an unfamiliar bed, I further realized I wasn't in my room. I must have fallen asleep on her bed. I turned to see none other than a still sleeping Mikasa. Soft breaths escaping her mouth. She looked so calm, so perfect. I couldn't help but stare a little longer than normal. I took a deep breath to prepare myself for what's about to happen to me. Mikasa! Mikasa! She almost fell out of her bed, the poor soul trying to understand what was happening. What? She yelled, all wide-eyed and serious. You always fell for that, I mumble, trying to hold back my laugh for fear she'll hurt me as bad as she hurt those Titans. An angry look was shown on her face as she pushed me rather harshly towards the wall next to me. You're an ass, listener. Oh, boo-hoo, that won't affect me. You should hear what John calls me sometimes. She let out a heavy sigh, basically sliding out of bed and stretching a bit before making her way to the bathroom. It wasn't weird at all waking up next to Mikasa. We've known each other long enough to have sleepovers, so the awkward tension disappeared over time. When she locked the bathroom door, I let out a huge laughter I was holding in. I can hear you laughing, a muffled voice said. You should have seen your face. And then the door unlocked, revealing an angry Mikasa. Oh no,